Good morning, YouTube. She got J Crew to you, bringing you another video here, a bit of an overdue video, in regard to Coach Prime, also known as Coach Deion Sanders, who is over the Colorado Bucks program, Colorado Buffaloes program rather, over there in Boulder, Colorado. And I want to give my take on not only Deion's impact for this football team, his impact for college football overall. If you've been following this team throughout this young football season, you know that Coach Prime, as he is known and he markets himself, is leading a team that's currently has 3 wins and 2 losses, with the last 2 losses coming in the past few weeks. One to the University of Oregon last week, and this past weekend, it coming to USC and the University of Southern California Trojans. Uh, uh, Deion Sanders, if you follow his career, has always been a guy who's been very boisterous, loud, and very confident, however you want to say it. And he's brought that sort of swagger, to the Colorado Buffaloes program. I know I've done a video about his time that he spent at Jackson State. I believe he was at the Jackson State University down in Jackson, Mississippi for 3 years until he got hired as the Colorado Buffaloes coach. What was that? Late last year or early this year? And what has happened since then has been a whirlwind of coverage for the Colorado Buffaloes program. If I don't even know if people are even familiar with the Colorado Buffaloes program, which speaks to Deion's impact on at that particular program and college football. To my knowledge, I haven't even kept up with the Colorado Buffalo since like the 1990s, since like Cordell Stewart, the quarterback that went on to play for the Steelers and maybe a few other NFL teams, was there, along with a Heisman Trophy winning running back by the name of Rashawn Salam. And that was like in the early to mid 90s. I don't think the Colorado Buffaloes have had anything going on since that point. And that's what's crazy to me about his cultural impact. I mean, every week people have been interested to see what's going on with Deion Sanders. He's had eyeballs tuned in to his program. When he left Jackson State, he didn't leave by himself. He brought both of his sons. The most known one being Shadur Sanders, their starting quarterback number 2, and also one of their safeties, another son of his, known as Shiloh. That's his actual name is Shiloh Sanders. He's a starting safety, but I think he's missed a past game and a half because he's been hurt. In terms of the safety. Shadur Sanders, for the first 3 weeks of the college football season, led the Colorado Bucks to being 3-0, but they really weren't playing any great teams. The team they got the last victory against, the Colorado State uh, team which is an in-state rival. That game was incredible if you watched it. They were Colorado State had played them very, very hard throughout that game, and really should have won that game. Colorado State, but Colorado State, from what I remember, they had a ton of penalties in that game that cost them that victory. I mean, Deion was even quoted as saying, "Man, if we would have lost that game to Colorado State with all this hype we had going on, the post-game press conference would have been unbearable." Basically, people would have been on Deion behind, like, "Man, how in the world y'all lost to Colorado State? This is a nothing football team. The world y'all guys lost, to these people." And but either way, what happened for the past couple of weeks at the Colorado Bucks program has really brought them back down to earth. But let me kind of go back to Colorado State. I'm kind of trying to get my thoughts together. I know it's early in the morning here on October 2nd. But with the Colorado State game, if you follow Deion, since he's been a coach, he's known to wear a ball cap and shades out there, and people can take that different ways. Some people who are more of an old school mindset, who saw how Deion sort of dresses and conducts himself wearing his gold chains, ball cap and some shades, look at like he's being non-traditional, like, he's not really being how they think you should be as a head coach. And Colorado State's head coach, who is black, said this a few weeks ago that when he talks to parents that he's recruiting and when he talks to people in general, he's not doing so with a ball cap on and shades. And he garnered a lot of criticism about that when he said it because he was taking a shot at Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders. And what happened as a result was kind of funny because what happened was that Deion, I think, had a bunch of shades delivered to all of his players, and they all wore shades like going into that game. I think for that week after that comment was made, or a few days after that comment was made, they were seen wearing shades, and these shades that they wore also, I think, at least have sold out like at different stores and online wherever they were sold at. They sold a lot. So that also speaks to Deion's, success in terms of being a marketer. He turned what was a negative comment towards him into a positive with these shades that not only he wears but his players were wearing. And as you can see with this article that I'm scrolling through here, it's on Forbes.com. It says how Deion Sanders brings wins, revenue, and cultural cachet to Colorado. And what this article is speaking to is that Deion Sanders just has to reinvigorate the program itself, but to the city of Colorado. I mean, all the games have been sold out this year. A lot of people have obviously had their eyeballs on Colorado, whereas normally nobody would think about this football team. Every week, people who follow college football who keep up with it have had something negative or positive to say about Deion Sanders, and his status as a coach. And keep in mind, Deion is only his first year as a coach at Colorado State. And so when you look at how impressive he's been in terms of what he's brought to this program and eyes that he's brought to college football in general. He's usually at college football as fans, we're talking about some of the traditional powers. UGA, Alabama, and Ohio State. And that's usually who we're talking about every year in, year out, in terms of teams are gonna have an eye on the national championship. But Colorado has been the team that's really kind of been the topic of discussion throughout this year. So Georgia and Alabama have taken the backseat. Georgia, they're undefeated. I think they're still the number one team in the country. But Alabama, they look kind of so-so this year. They're taking a step back. They lost, what was that, one game this year as Alabama. But they really haven't looked like the Alabama of old. So even though they've only had one loss, they kind of like they in rebuilding mode to me. As you can see with this article right here, if you pay attention to this little few sentences right here, it says from game tickets sold to hotel rooms, celebrities to restaurants and merch, the presence of Sanders is driving commerce. Thanks to some verbal jab from Colorado State, Jay Norville, Sanders is also selling droves of sunglasses as well. And I just spoke about the sunglasses. So you guys kind of know about that. But they've also used the word celebrities. Before some of their games during the weeks of practice, Coach Prime has brought in, rappers like Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne even led them out pre-game for one of their games. He even led them out. I think they've had other football players like Michael Irvin, who's one of his teammates from his Dallas Cowboy days back in the 90s. I think the rapper Da Baby was there this past week. I know it's some more people that I can't think of that I'm not mentioning, but this is the kind of impact that Deion has brought. They've had DJs in there before games, and it's been incredible the eyeballs that he's had on this program. You've had some ESPN commentators talk about I'm all Deion'd out. I forget the guy's name. It's on one of those morning talk shows that's aired over the past few weeks. It was one of those ESPN commentators talking about I'm all Deion'd out. I don't like talking about Deion too much anymore. You know, I don't want to see him win. And that, and to me, it only spoke to the fact that maybe he's just not a Colorado Bucks fan, which is a legitimate way to say that. But the fact that he just don't like Deion's persona with all the gold, all the loud talking, and to me, that speaks to the fact that he's just being himself. He's just being himself. He and the fact that Deion is himself is the fact is what is sort of bringing people's real opinions about him out there. He's always been more of like a hip dude. Like Deion's always been kind of cool, non-traditional, even a bit hood back in his playing days. And so, he's always had this blackness about his personality. And some people just don't like that about him. I like the way Deion conducts himself. And because he's himself, and I think that the main reason you're seeing criticism of the way he's carrying himself, I wouldn't even say racism. Even though that may be part of it, I wouldn't say that's all of it. Some of it's just the fact that he's bringing attention to his program, and he's probably gonna get top commitments from people who wouldn't even dream about showing up at Colorado from top recruits across the country. That is what really is driving people's criticism of him. Because in their first loss to Oregon last week, uh, their head coach is Dan Lanning, and I think this is his second season at Oregon, I believe. And with Coach Dan Lanning, before the football game, literally like before they walked out there and competed, he was in the locker room trying to fire his team up. And Dan Lanning was like, we're not out here playing for clicks. We're not out here doing this Hollywood stuff. We're out here playing for wins. And a lot of people caught that, and they took that as him taking a shot at Coach Deion Sanders, and it absolutely was a shot at him. And I think it really is bulletin board material, for his players to get fired up right before the game. I didn't take it like it was racist or nothing like that, but yet, he took a shot at him. If you watch that game, it was hard to watch. Coach Sanders and his Colorado Buffaloes, they got stomped in that game. They scored maybe like once in that game, like towards the end of it. It was hard to watch. It was a beating. It was hard to watch. And keep in mind, Oregon's one of the better teams in the country. They're top 10. And the same thing goes for the USC Trojans. They're a top 10 football team. This past weekend when they played USC, well, if I was a reporter after the game, I would have asked Deion about that last offensive drive they had, because surprisingly, even though Colorado was seen as a huge underdog, they had an opportunity to come back and tie that game and win it in overtime. Colorado kind of got pushed around in the first half, just like we thought they would, but their defense began to make stops in the second half, and their offense was able to catch up. And during the last drive of the game, they had some questionable calls, man, that in my mind cost them that game. You saw the offense run maybe 2 or 3 halfback draws, meaning the running back was just giving the ball and with not too much time left on the clock, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes left on the clock. He was just running the ball right in the middle. And some carries he got no yards. The other carries he got 2 or 3 yards. And everybody who's watching is like, why are they running the ball and not passing? They're wasting 20 and 30 seconds, if not more than that, off the clock. And I don't know if anybody questioned Coach Prime about that after the game when they should have. It was pathetic watching that, because I'm like, why in the world are they doing that? That game was very winnable, man. And it was just confusing for me to see that as a fan of football and as a fan of Coach Prime and his team. That was bad coaching. That is a legitimate criticism and a legitimate shot that you can use against Coach Deion Sanders. Say, man, what the hell were you thinking? That was hard. That was horrible. Your team could have potentially put off a huge upset if your coaching wasn't so bad. And so it was terrible, man. It was horrible. But they lost, and I looked at it as a football, as a coaching mistake made by a young college football coach in Deion Sanders. That was bad. That's on Deion right there. He has to take over the play calling as a head coach if he wasn't already doing it. I don't know if he took over the play calling, but he should have. But that was terrible. But either way, it's been wonderful to see the kind of attention that he's brought. Because this year, I've been trying to follow Coach Sanders, every week. It's interesting because no question about it, part of people's interest in Coach Sanders is that they want to see him fall. They want to see this dude not succeed, him fall flat on his face. And I know for the past couple of games, they probably have, some trash talking points towards him. But keep in mind, he's in his first year. Deion still, in his own words, is 7 or 8 dogs away from being where they want to be in terms of having the players they need. If you watch them this year, you notice that their running game really has not been there like that. They've not had too much of a running game. And that has hurt Colorado because it's been on Deion Sanders' son Shador to get it done with his arm. And so, they are building, but yet they're interesting. So I would like to say I wish the best of luck to Coach Deion Sanders. Uh, I think he's gonna be a heck of a coach at the D1 level. But he has to get the players to come there, and he will. He's gonna get guys that normally go to Georgia or Alabama to come there, and I think he's gonna make it interesting. And Deion being Deion, he's gonna bring hipness, to that atmosphere. If anybody caught the post game, I guess pep talk and congratulatory speech that Deion gave 3 weeks ago after they beat Colorado State, I think Deion brought his mother, into the locker room. She gave like a little bit of a speech. I'm kind of gonna paraphrase, and she basically was kind of following up on what that Colorado State coach Jay Norvell said about him being kind of young, kind of hip, wearing shades and ball caps, and him just being himself. And she said, "I always taught my son to be himself, no matter what. No matter what you do, go out there and be yourself and do it to the best of your ability. And right now, what y'all need to go out there and be yourself and kick their ass, keep kicking ass or something like. Cause this is after the game, but y'all need to keep kicking ass or something like that. His mother said. I'm paraphrasing because I'm just trying to go off my memory, but either way, I'm gonna wrap this video up here on October 2nd, early morning video. She got J Crew to you. If you like the video, hit the like button. You want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button. We gonna keep following Coach Prime and those Colorado Bucks. Y'all have a good one.